And we welcome everyone to the show. I'm attired in a golf shirt.
I'll be in a polo shirt in a little bit.
What are you wearing? Okay. You're going to wear a polo shirt to go to Williamsport tonight.
Right. Sure.
Okay. But on camera, you wear that.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody will see you tonight except when you walk into the booth.
That's all right.
Nobody will see you tonight until you exit the booth. In between, you're on the radio. Nobody will see you. But this, you decide to dress. Has Goodwill been emptied out? I mean, I just want to know. I mean, what are you doing?
It might have been. You never know. It was back to school season. Yeah, they might have.
All right. But at least we're talking games. And
Yes.
we did preview the State High Williamsport game yesterday. Before we get to some other issues, how do you feel it has gone for high school football having one scrimmage, not two? Because that change came a few years ago.
I actually don't mind it. I think it's better. I think coaches probably favor it a little bit more. Yeah, Good. I don't think it's a big deal because you also moved the season up. That change kind of coincided by moving the season up a week, so you get started a little quicker. I think if you give the coach the option, do I want to play a scrimmage again and assess my team, or do I want to play a game and assess my team? Option B is going to be the likely scenario. Sure. So I think it's probably, I'd say 90% favor just one scrimmage. And 10% maybe still want that second scrimmage, but I think they're fine with one scrimmage. They're fine with just getting into the season. And a lot of teams won't get into their conference play, their Commonwealth play right away either. So that's I think you get a feel for. You look at these first two games for State College. You're going to get a feel for where they are as a team. Right. They're going to have the opportunity for sure.
Right. Okay. I'm glad. That's why I only ask just out of curiosity, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend I remotely know. Only because I'll attend a game during the course of the year. If I have a free Friday night, I'll attend a game. A lot of times I've just got my feet up watching somebody else play, and sometimes I'll watch a game, a local high school game on TV.
Yeah.
I mean, because we have that option now. Sure, but that's why I asked as to what you thought about the quality of it. Because, one would guess the other way. And I think it's a great perspective. I appreciate that. What's new at Beaver Stadium? So there's going to be a Legacy Plaza, Happy Valley Alley, Kids Zone, Fan Assistance Shuttle Program, family-friendly entrance, and lap ticket policy. So what's new? Fan assistance shuttle service. The shuttles will begin 2 hours before kickoff and resume at the beginning of the fourth quarter for return trips. Service will end 1 hour after the game ends. So this is to assist fans needing mobility assistance, getting from parking lots to the stadium and then back after the game. This is really a great initiative that they're doing. So if you're somebody that needs assistance, all right, or is with somebody who needs assistance, they would love to have you at the game, so they're going to do everything they can to make it easier for you to be at the game from parking lot to stadium and back. New to Beaver Stadium this year, 2 family-friendly gates. Families with children 12 and under can expedite their entry either at Gate F or the ADA gate. The family-friendly gate's going to open 2.5 hours before kickoffs. And again, if you have a clear diaper or tote bag, if it's 12 by 6 by 12 or smaller, no problem. You can bring that in. It's got to be 12 by 6 by 12. And it has to be clear, but you can bring the diaper bag, tote bag in as a clear bag. Lap ticket policy for children under 2. Fans looking to bring their children under the age of 2 to a football game at Beaver Stadium may purchase a lap ticket at a discounted rate of $10 for their infant, subject to availability, of course. This ticket will allow entry to the venue, but the child must sit on their parent or guardian's lap. If a seat must be occupied by the child and or carrier, then a regular ticket has to be purchased. Fans can purchase lap tickets the day of the game at Beaver Stadium when the box office opens at either gate E or B. Okay? Kid Zone and Happy Valley Alley, that will be a gate D. Beginning this season, they're going to feature a fan and family-friendly entertainment experience suited for both adults and children adjacent to gate D. All right? So obviously you won't be there. It's clean, fun family entertainment.
That's right.
It's like, it's just not your best.
No.
Oh, by the way, before I get going with this, I'm sitting in Williamsport last night, and I have my lineup card set. I'm all ready to go. So I'm just going through, and I saw a note about Metallica. And how they have cleaned up on booze, cleaned up on drugs, and now get more sleep because of their age. And I thought of you.
That is a truthful statement.
Oh, my goodness. So the family area, this will include high-top tables, televisions, concession offerings that are unique to that entertainment space. There's a kid zone featuring games, a turf field, and other activities. I'll never forget Indiana. Before they enclosed the south end of their stadium, they used to have a football field, and the kids would be playing ball on the field before the game. Additional food offerings will be made, and New Holland, which is a great sponsor of Penn State Athletics, has moved its farm to stadium concession stand to gate D. Very nice. Farm to stadium. Instead of farm to table, farm to stadium. Happy Valley Alley and the Kids Zone will open 2 hours prior to kickoff, and game tickets are required for entry. Mobile Locker company to provide storage options for fans' belongings. So Penn State Athletics will have a partnership with Mobile Locker company. When the lots open, fans will have the opportunity to rent out a locker and store their personal belongings for the day at one of two locations. One will be located at Gate A of the Bryce Jordan Center. The other will be located at the North Transit Center on Park Avenue. Okay? And by the way, the mobile locker stations will leave 1 hour after. So, game's over. Go out and collect your belongings, okay? Legacy Plaza. And yes, I did buy. So I did. It is next to the South End Zone Tunnel. And all the history is, a lot of history will be placed there. Updates are going to be made to the plaza throughout the season, including plaques from every season, including each team's schedule, results, team captains. Fans will have the opportunity to leave their own legacy and be part of it. They have bricks and pavers and logo bricks and so forth. You can do all that and get involved with that. I thought it was a great thing. That's why I made my donation. Concession offerings. All right, here's another part fans are going to love. So, Caliente Pizza at 2 locations, East and Northwest Concourse. Yeah. Wing Kitchen, 2 locations, West and Northeast Concourse. See, this is right up your alley. I'm surprised you're not giving. Okay, Chickie and Pete's.
That's
2 locations, West and Northeast Concourse. Chickie and Pete's has been a huge hit at basketball games at the Jordan Center. Pat Romano, we are in 2 locations, South and Northwest Concourse. Doan's Bones, Southeast Concourse. Adam and Nancy's Paninis, Northeast Concourse. Scott's Roasting, North Concourse. Philly Pretzel, Southwest Concourse, and the gluten-free stand at the Southwest Concourse. Rodney Martin will handle play-by-play duties. Joe Putnam will cover pregame, halftime, and media timeout announcements. They're the new voices in the stadium. And there's a crowd stats counter as well presented by KCF Technologies that will be used to track the yardage tallied by crowd-inflicted penalties, which will be cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. They also will have a sensory room. Okay. say, for example, it could be anybody. Okay, say somebody gets overwhelmed by the noise, right? And this could be anything. You could bring your kids to the game and it becomes too much for them. Mm-hmm. Or, for example, if you wanted to bring, or it could be you, or if you wanted to bring somebody who is autistic and may struggle a bit with the noise, well, they're going to have a quiet room set up.
Nice.
And access to that room is free for fans of all ages. All ages. So if you feel like, hey, I need a break from the noise, they'll have a room for you. Penn State Bookstore will have 19 locations outside the stadium. They're all cashless, by the way. Mobile ticketing continues. Download the mobile tickets to your Apple Wallet or Google Pay. There's step-by-step instructions. Multiple charging stations located in and around the stadium. The kiosks, by the way, have charging units and adapters for Androids and so forth, if need be. Not just iPhones. Let's see. Ticket scanners walk through metal detectors at every point. And I think everybody knows that. To ease entry, fans are encouraged to enter the stadium as early as possible. They receive a concession discount of $1 for every $5 spent for the first 45 minutes after the gates are open. And you can download all this at Apple, Android. Okay. Bag policy, same as always. Clear tote bags, 12 by 6 by 12 or smaller permitted. Small clutch, 4 by 6 by 1 will continue to be permissible. And you can go online and get the complete bag policy, okay? And student entry. Students have their mobile season ticket and Penn State ID ready as they begin the entry process. After presenting their mobile season ticket, students will receive a non-transferable wristband to validate their entry into the student section. Each portal, students will be required to show their wristband each time they enter to ensure only students are in that section. The Beaver Stadium block party is back. Happy Valley Hospitality tailgating. Parking and traffic. Ooh, it specifically mentions your helicopter here. Very nice.
All right.
Right? It's a clear area for chopper to land on practice soccer field. Really? You are impressive.
Well, I'll tell you, it's only fair to arrive in style. That's the easiest way to beat traffic.
Did I tell you I was playing in a golf tournament at Selinsgrove, and the tournament's over? And I just had finished up. We just finished up on 18. Went in, and I dropped my clubs off, and I wanted to go back into the clubhouse because I had to make a presentation before I left. So I went back. I was going back in the clubhouse, and all of a sudden I'm looking up, and this helicopter is like swooping around. It's really low. And I was wondering, it was low, but I was wondering, I wonder how close the hospitals are to here, EVAN and so forth. Because I knew how close Geisinger happened to be, so this wouldn't have been a Geisinger helicopter. And I'm looking at it, I said, wow, it's really low. And all of a sudden, it comes in, and it lands adjacent to the 9th fairway. Like, wow. Now, I have no idea who it was, what they were doing. It was not an emergency. And so I was walking, there were 3 women walking out of the clubhouse, and I said, check out my ride. They go, Steve, that's really your ride? No. Like, okay. So there you go. That's what's new at Lestad. So there you go. Michigan's announced their coaches for their first 3 games. I'm like, again, the absurdity of this whole thing is just beyond the pale.
Fairly certain I could coach Michigan in those first 3 games, and they may win the games.
But again, here's my issue with what's going on with this. They claim there was a 4-game negotiated settlement, of which the NCAA went no. So then we'll self-impose. And they reduced it. I mean, nobody reduces it. Okay, great, fabulous.
Somebody reduces it. They're called Michigan.
Holy mackerel. When I was talking with Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, the other day, I didn't bring it up.
No, yeah, I probably would.
Although there were a number of other things we talked about. Just like deep background, really, really good stuff. And Tony was great. I mean, easy to talk to, very forthcoming. And I did bring up with him at one point about, having Washington and Oregon in to go with USC and UCLA. I said, help solve the November night game problem. I said, in some ways, it's because you can play at 7:30 on NBC, but it's, even though Eugene is cold at that time of the year, Washington is definitely cooler, but it's warmer than Eugene, like maybe by about 5 to 10 degrees. But Eugene's cold. But I said the game started 4:30 in the afternoon out there. It's the equivalent of a 3:30 game here. Right. And he says, oh, no. He says, as you know, Steve, there are some teams in the conference that don't want to play November night games. Didn't bring up who.
I've heard.
Right. Didn't bring up who, but I can name one. I think all of you can name one right off the top of your heads.
I think you can name two right off the top of your heads.
Well, Ohio State's going to play night game.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And Penn State's played.
Yeah.
Okay, they'll do it. But there's one that hasn't played November.
There's one that hasn't played a weeknight game either.
They actually were forced to play a Friday night game once because of the baseball playoffs years ago. They played at Minnesota.
Oh, Metrodome. Yep.
They played at Minnesota.
My goodness.
Right.
The concessions that these teams have to make.
And they complained the entire time. This is when the Gophers were playing at the Metrodome. So, yeah, it's
yeah.
And again, it was unspoken. It was unspoken as to who.
Yeah, unspoken as to who. But there's certain teams that have played Thursday and Friday night games without issue these last couple of years
because it was good for the league.
Yep.
All right.
And then this team doesn't have State in its last name. There you go.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactamundo. So, again, he didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Right.
But I know what I assumed.
Yeah, no, I assumed. Yeah, I assumed.
Let's see, I'm sitting there going, so you have a prime time contract and a team that won't play prime time in November at home.
This will never happen at all. But what happens if the game, another hint, gets so big that, hey, we're going to move it away from that noon time slot, which they'll never do, because that's a perfect slot for that game. It's always been traditionally, I take that back. They moved it to 3:30 and they were undefeated in 06. But
once, but not with the Fox.
Not with the Fox contract.
Fox contract.
No, it's going to be big noon. Yeah, absolutely.
But they get the first overall pick.
Yeah, so
and they'll always have picked that as the first overall pick. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's stayed at noon.
The hypothetical part. What do? You're playing your biggest game. You're undefeated going into that game, and you lose. There's the excuse factory right there. Again, we haven't named the team. Still haven't named the team.
We can refer to them as them.
There you go. Or TTUN if you're a fan of the other team that plays in that game.
Them. All right. So we have Notre Dame this weekend. That's tomorrow. Maybe. Sam Hartman gets the start. Let's see what kind of difference he makes out of the gate. Notre Dame's passing game was okay last year. Drew Pine did okay. Buckner, who's down in Alabama now, did okay. Hartman had a terrific career at Wake Forest. So let's see what happens with Notre Dame tomorrow. Playing Navy in the opening game is a much better scenario for any team because you get to practice against what they do and have extra practices to go against what they do instead of really just transitioning in a week, showing up on a Sunday, make sure you're ready on a Tuesday, make sure you're ready on a Wednesday, do a walkthrough on a Thursday, and guess what? Okay, you're going to play the game. When they're the opening game, you can then say this is, while putting in everything else you want to put in. Now, when we lock in on them, we have the time to do it. And I would expect Notre Dame's defense to play pretty well against Navy tomorrow because they will have had time to understand what Navy does. Now, it's a different coaching staff, but it's not a different weight limit. It's not a different, they're not going to be able to change overnight what they do. They can't because they don't have the personnel to do it any other way right now. So you're preparing for them as if they're going to play pretty close to the same way. Playing them in an opening game is actually a big advantage for Notre Dame, right? Because it gives them the extra time needed to prepare instead of trying to do it in the fifth game of the season. Like, okay, we've been playing all these spread pass attacks. Now we have to play this. Okay. I would expect, I have no idea what the number is tomorrow. I'm always the last person to ask. So I don't know how big a favorite Notre Dame is in the game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I could see them winning the game by 3 to 4 touchdowns.
Easily. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest game of the weekend. Right?
I would say so.
I mean, USC's also playing tomorrow, Caleb Williams. But it's a nondescript opponent. Let me just check and see what the games are tomorrow. Because I'd ask you, but you're so locked in on State High that you just, yeah, it's just the way you are.
I admittedly do not know too many games.
Oh no, I'm going to look it up what the games are. Navy Notre Dame at 2:30. Yep. That's on NBC. San Jose State against USC. San Jose State isn't that bad, but USC is. Yeah. But USC should beat that team by 4 touchdowns
easily.
Those are the two primary ranked games because the next game after that, and I'm anxious to watch this on the Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
I know Minnesota's playing Nebraska.
Yep.
Right, which is interesting. And Tony told me he's going to go to that game because Matt Rule's first game there. And he also said he's going to go to the Nebraska though because they're having that volleyball match in the stadium. In the football stadium. So he's going to go to that. So let's see. Let's see. Can we get everybody here? Everybody's schedule or not? It has to be kind of done by rankings or whatever here. Top 20. So those are the only 2 top 25 matchups. And then Thursday's Florida, Utah. See, that's the one I'm talking about that I can't wait to watch. Because I think that's going to be a really interesting game. Now, Cam Rising is not going to play in the game. Tore his ACL in the third quarter against Penn State. I heard one more person say to me, yeah, boy, that really changed everything. I said, changed what? Penn State had control of the game. He was 7 to 22 passing. What changed?
Yep. No, it's nothing changed.
Yeah, nothing changed. Any way to trying to check and see here if he can get all the games or not. Do I have to go conference by conference? Yeah, I guess I had to go conference by conference. I don't want to go conference by conference. I just want a list of all the games.
Yeah.
Oh well. Well, let's check CBS Sports. Maybe they'll do it. Dodgers play the Red Sox tonight. Great. Mookie Betts, by the way, makes his return to Fenway tonight. What a mistake that was.
By the Red Sox? Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So I said, how can you let this guy go? This guy is a great player, right? 5-tool player, great defensive player, runs the bases beautifully, hits with power, and is great in the community. People love him. What are you doing? Okay, well, that's just a different topic, different day, my man.
Mm-hmm.
Different topic, different day.
Agreed, though.
NCAA football. Okay, they've got all the games. There we go. That's how it should be done. Navy Notre Dame, 2:30. on NBC. North Alabama and Mercer at 3:30.
That's a game I'm locked in.
That's on ESPN.
Whew. That's when you know it's a tough day.
That's got to be ESPN. But it has to be ESPN Plus. It has to be ESPN
so.
Plus.
I can't.
Come on.
Well, they're going to have
UTEP and
somebody's going to have Little League on, right? So
yes.
yeah, it probably would be.
ABC.
Yeah, ABC. So
will.
that yeah.
UTEP and Jacksonville State on CBS Sportsnet at 5:30 tomorrow. Penn State opponent UMass against Jerry Kill's New Mexico State team.
Yeah.
ESPN 7:00. Right? I may watch a little bit of that. Ohio University, San Diego State. Okay, not a bad game actually. That's on FS1. Rourke is back at quarterback for Ohio University, and San Diego State is good team. Fordham against Albany. Not even the late Vin Scully would have watched that game, and that's his alma mater. Hawaii at Vanderbilt on the SEC network at 7:30. Here we go. ABC at 7:30 at night. South Carolina State, Jackson State. I mean, they do know that Deion left.
Deion left, I think. Yeah, maybe they booked it years in advance.
The San Jose State USC game is on the Pac-12 network. And then Florida International and Louisiana Tech on CBS Sports Net. It's a lean schedule.
Yeah.
It's a lean schedule on TV. And then next Thursday, you have Eastern Illinois, Indiana State, West Virginia State, Morehead State, North Greenville, Charleston Southern, Rhode Island, Georgia State. You've got Kent State, UCF, okay. Elon, Wake Forest. St. Francis of Pennsylvania, our friends down the road here in Loretto, playing at Western Michigan. William and Mary against Campbell. Delaware will open with Stony Brook next Thursday, Penn State's second opponent. Valpo, Youngstown State, NC State, UConn. Okay, CBS Sports Net game. Nebraska, Minnesota, we already mentioned. That game is actually going to be on Fox. Right? Not Fox Sports 1. No, it's on Fox. And that game's at 8 o'clock next Thursday night. And Florida, Utah is opposite at 8 o'clock on ESPN. And anything else here that's any good? No. Then we get the Friday's games, Miami, Ohio, Miami, Florida. Imagine announcing that game.
Yeah.
Miami, first and 10. Miami's
got the ball into Miami.
Got it. So it's going to be a lot of nicknames. Hey, here go the Canes. Central Michigan, Michigan State on Friday. Louisville, Georgia Tech. Missouri State, Kansas. Stanford at Hawaii. There you go. Those are the Friday games next week. We are up. We're finally up to games. Thank you, Goose.
Nice
Thank you. I'm sick of talking about gambling scandals. I'm sick of talking about realignment. All right. I'll say this. I have a better handle on realignment after talking with the Big Ten commissioner the other day. And with Pat Kraft, talked about with him too, but better handle on it. Okay. We aren't that far off on anything we've said, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
And finally we get to talk about games. It's such an intriguing season in so many ways. And now you just want to see them play. You just want to see them play. And they'll get West Virginia in the Open. West Virginia, by the way, he says he knows his quarterback, who his starter is. He says the team knows, but he's not going to announce it yet. I'm talking about West Virginia.
Yeah.
If I were to guess, I would guess it would be Garrett Green.
Yeah.
Who's a good runner, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He can run. And C.J. Donaldson's a good running back. They've had to change over their wide receiver group. They had a lot of people transfer out in the wide receiver group. But they were able to recruit Rodney Gallagher. They were able to get a transfer in Devin Carter. Poe is back at wide receiver, who played for them last year. They have a couple of tight ends back and one that transferred in. They have a good part of their offensive line back. Their defense, they lost some people on defense. And we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, that game is at 7:30 next week. So let the fireworks fly. I mean, it's and the Steelers last night, I didn't see it. Did you watch any of it?
No, didn't watch any of it.
I laughed because Harris scored a touchdown.
Yep.
And I looked over and said, well, it looks like he's holding Warren off. Then the next series, Warren came down, he scored a touchdown. I said, he's back in the game. Welcome to, that's what I love. Okay, there's preseason games bring with it tremendous overreactions because it's all you see.
Sure, because it's all, yeah.
The opening game of the college football season brings with it tremendous overreactions because it's the only game you've seen. And so now we have an entire week to talk about it. In the NFL's case, you have almost 2 weeks to talk about it. Like, oh, boy, this, that. Like, okay. We don't overreact here. We never have. It's kind of like, okay, let's take it in the context of an opening game. And that's exactly what I'm going to say when we do the Tuesday show, because we're not going to have a Monday show after the West Virginia game because of Labor Day. Labor Day. You know, I mean, I said, I'll do a Labor Day show. I said, no, Jason demands not to do any show. I said, oh.
Yeah, it was a tough decision, but
what kind of worker are you?
Lack of work ethic.
Oh, yeah. I want to tell you right now, this guy cobbles together 82 things to keep his life and career going. I mean, I'm surprised when you sleep. You work your backside off. That's why you're good at what you do, too. But you work your backside off. But, yeah. I'll start out the show on Tuesday and say, okay, in the context of an opening game, because I say that every year, because experience tells you that you don't sit there and do the silly hot take thing, and hot takes are silly. Hot take's the equivalent of writing a headline to get clicks.
Yep, agreed.
Right. Well, I'm sorry. This is, I don't believe in the click world. You know, look at all the clicks we got, and then you sit there and go, well, I'm not clicking on that again. What the heck? I'm not a big believer in that. I'm a believer in saying, okay, this is what I saw. This is why I saw it. Here's some perspective as to why we saw or what we didn't see. And then go from there. That's called analyzing it. Now, does it mean my analysis is right all the time? No. But it's the best of what I have based on either what I saw or people I talked to when it's over with, just to make sure, what the perspective happens to be. But you don't sit there and hot take things, and sit there and do things for clicks and, I can't wait. You just try to give everybody, here's what happened, what and why. It's an opening game. They need to correct X, Y, and Z. They're on the right track with A, B, and C. And now let's see what happens in game 2. And then let's see what happens in game 3. But it's you stay away from overreaction, whatever. So say Aaron Rodgers goes out and their opening game is with who?
Giants? Is it? No, that's
the
game.
exhibition game. The exhibition game is the Giants. Giants playing the Cowboys in the opening week.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Say Aaron Rodgers goes out and throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. All right. Overreaction Monday. Mm-hmm. That's a Monday night game, right?
Yeah, it's a Monday night.
So Tuesday.
Yeah.
So Tuesday.
So it'd be,
so a Tuesday afterward on Tuesday the 12th. Yeah, Tuesday. Say he goes out and throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Bills. Tuesday the 12th, the overreaction. Oh, the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. Look how great they are. Man, that's one game down and 16 to go. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know how you feel. The 17 games end up feeling like a long season.
Yes. Yeah, too many. I think 16 was the perfect number. And that's, I'm not a fan. And they justify it by saying, we'll shorten the preseason. Okay, but you're not really
still starting the regular season the same date.
You're not really shortening anything.
The same approximate date.
Yep, and the Super Bowl's a week later now.
Yeah.
Well, it's been the last couple of years, but...
Yeah, it's a week later, but it's in the February sweeps. too.
Yep.
Okay. But, and they want to go to 18.
Well, I think you almost have to at some point because you're going to have...
I'm saying how long it feels. Like baseball, we're used to 162 games, but you feel like at some point during the baseball season, it feels long. Basketball and hockey are 82 games apiece. That feels long. Yep. Football was always the one where you felt it was in this confined area.
Yep.
And now you're starting in September. The regular season's ending in January every year. The playoffs are ending in February every year. And it's like really long. And if they go, and they're going to go to 18 games. I mean, they can't, let's face it, the NFL cares about one thing and one thing only, and that's cash.
Yep.
Cash is king, and they've done a brilliant job of mining it. They have mined cash left and right. They know that they are the most popular sport going, and they have taken full advantage of it. They have every network exactly the way they want it. They have TV packages the way they want it. They have labor peace the way they want it, even though it was close. The average vote was 32-30 per team. It was close. I mean, they were that close to not having this. It was 32-30 was the average per team in the final vote. Wow. If I think something like 62 votes change, they would have rejected the contract and they wouldn't have ended up with the TV. They would have had labor discord. They would have had a delay in the TV contract negotiation. There are a lot of things because they were able to pass it that opened the door for the prosperity they have. Now, when they get to 18 games, man, I remember doing the game in the Palestra last year with Penn State and Purdue. The Eagles were playing the Giants.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was last regular season day. Yep.
Right. It wasn't a playoff game, as you pointed out. It was a regular season game. Like, holy mackerel. They're still playing.
Yeah. And they always do now where the last 4 or 5 years they put the division opponents because you're going to have meaning to the games. Well, not really. just extending it.
9 times out of 10, the division's already settled.
Yeah, exactly.
And it turned out both those teams made the playoffs last year.
Yep, played each other. Yep.
Ended up, after the Giants beat the Vikings.
Yep.
But that's a long year. Mm-hmm. And if you tack on an 18th game, when are you going to start? Are you going to start before Labor Day?
That's, I think you almost have to. I don't think you could push the Super Bowl back any further than what you have it right now. You have it in the second week of February now. You can't go towards the end of February for football. I don't think, at least. They may, but man, I can't see it. I really can't. But
I think what they'll do is they would. You see college football starting this weekend, obviously.
Yeah.
But then next week, I just ran down the Thursday games.
Yeah.
Well, there'd be an NFL game opposite that.
Yeah, and I think it would be. I mean, it would certainly anger college football, and it would certainly be justifiable to anger because that's their week, really.
They don't care.
No, they don't. But it's their week to really showcase.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, the NFL doesn't care.
The NFL does not care.
No, heck no.
Right. That's one of the problems you were seeing with how they wanted to structure the playoff system.
Sure.
Because when they get to 12, and I still say at some point they'll go to 16, but that's me. That's with the new contract. I'm talking not, but they're going to go 12 at least in 24 and 25, okay? That first weekend, they're going to put a game on Friday night, okay? And they're going to put 3 games on Saturday. Well, guess who scheduled games on Saturday? The NFL did. The NFL did not give college football that Saturday.
No.
Here you go. Here's your lane. Hey, thanks for everything you're doing for us with player development and really being the feeder system into our league.
Sure.
Nope. They scheduled games for that Saturday. So college football will play a Friday night game and 3 college football playoff opening round games, and the NFL will be playing opposite them on a Saturday. On a Saturday, they're going to be playing them.
Yep.
They don't change for anybody.
No, they don't. They don't.
They could care less. They don't change for anybody.
Agreed.
That's They do what's best for the three-letter league.
Sure.
Right? If anybody else wants to tag along, go for it. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't taken over New Year's Day.
Well, they if on a Sunday they do.
Well, but that's always been the case.
Rose Bowl will be traditionally January 2nd.
That always has been the case.
Sure.
And it goes back to the Rose Bowl refused because of church bells.
Yeah.
Scared the horses in the parade. So that's why they said they would never have a game, a Rose Bowl game on Sunday, because of church bells scaring horses, obviously decades ago. So that's why they'll play on January 2nd. So the NFL, justifiably, it's like, hey, it's wide open, but they played. They played on New Year's Day this past year. New Year's Day was a Sunday this past year, right?
Yeah.
Right? And Penn State played on January 2nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Against Utah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And NFL, of course, had a Monday Night Football game.
Well, that was the Bills. That was the Bills-Bengals game with Damar Hamlin.
Yes.
Because that's Jack and I went down when the game was over. It was raining when the game was over.
Yeah. Yep.
Jack and I went down to the locker room, and we spent maybe about 45 minutes in the locker room talking to players, especially the seniors.
Sure.
But talking to players, it was and we were done. Jack says, "Hey, that was really great." Now we went out to the bus. We were going to hang on the bus till it was time to go. And as we got to the bus, and we always sit in the back seats of the last bus anyway. We got to the back seats. We sat down. He goes, "Do you know what's happening with the Bills-Bengals game?" I said, "No, I haven't looked at my phone yet." He said, "Joanne just texted me. Said something bad happened." Wow. So, of course, the two of us, he already had his phone out, so I took my phone out. We're looking like, what the heck happened to Damar Hamlin?
Yeah.
Right? And, of course, we're not watching the game.
Right.
Can't watch the game. Had no shot at doing it until we got back to the hotel in Los Angeles. Like, holy mackerel. And you're just in the dark trying to find out, and nobody knew anything. But that's what we were doing on the bus, waiting for the team to come out. Like, oof, brutal.
Yep.
I mean, that was the same night. And what they did was they put the Rose Bowl on as a lead-in
to that.
So it was done actually in concert. Yep. So that's a little different.
Yep. And the Sugar Bowl was the night before or night after? One of the two. Night before.
Sugar Bowl was Saturday night.
Saturday night. That's right. Yeah.
It was Saturday night.
Yeah. Yep.
To clear it out.
Yep.
That way, ESPN could have Monday Night Football. And, and on paper, of course, when you start the season, Bengals-Bills was a terrific matchup that you wanted. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow.
Yeah. And that game had a lot of implications.
Right. Implications. Obviously. But then, of course, what happened when Hamlin overshadowed everything and they stopped the game.
And rightfully so. Yeah. Made the right move. I will never, ever disagree with what they did there.
That was...
I gave all the credit in the world to how Joe Buck handled it too. But Joe's the best. But to me,
I've never met Joe Buck, and I've wanted to get him on the show.
Same.
And I will tell you right now, if we ever got him on the show, I'll tell you one of the first things I would say. I said, no matter what anybody says to you, somebody, I'm not Joe Buck, obviously.
No.
But as somebody at least that does something very similar to you, I said, who cares what the critics say? You're really good.
He's the best. He's the best. And for so many things.
Except when he rips the 49ers.
Well, he does that, but that's all right. I let that slide.
That just makes him an average American.
That does make him that does. But I think the job he does, he waits to get it right. I think that's the biggest thing. But the other part of it is, even in broadcasting, if you don't have anything to say that is going to pertain to that moment, don't say it.
Oh, no.
And he was perfect. He was absolutely perfect there. He took 4 breaks. So what? In that spot, you cannot say the wrong thing. And he didn't.
Look, let's face it. Jack Ham and I had to together navigate the Adam Talaferro injury in the Ohio State game. Right? And there have been other things that have happened over the years where you talked about the precautions, And people thought maybe they were watching another Adam Talaferro and say, hey, let's just wait. We'll find out. They take a lot of precautions on the field now. And then you find out later. Yeah. And when you get the news officially, hey, by the way, he's fine, moving his extremities, right? With Adam, it wasn't. But so believe me, I have I've gone through it as a broadcaster, so I knew. I didn't watch Joe Buck do that because I was on the bus.
Yeah, no, he did a sensational job. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't, I'm not surprised, but I've walked in his shoes before because of what happened with Adam.
Telfair, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't take any breaks.
Yep.
That's another awkward part of it.
Yeah, it's
where
difficult.
you're sitting there like saying, okay, do you take a break, not take a break? Or you could be in a position where, depending on the game, where you're, quote, out of breaks. Mm-hmm. Because we'll get out. I mean, sometimes you'll hear us with 7 minutes to go in just an average game.
Yep.
7 minutes to go, and we just go, and people will say, gee, you guys didn't take a break. I said, because we're out of commercials.
Yep.
Depending on how the quarter plays out. Now, I can't remember with Adam where we were in that. I remember that when he finally took him off the field, we did take a break because we did have one coming to us. Because we were on for 20 some odd minutes straight, like 21, 22 minutes straight. And like, now you got to sit there and absorb what's going on, like, holy mackerel. And then I remember going down to the locker room because now, every coach has every coach and training staff has their own way of doing things. Some people like to tape the players at the hotel. Some would rather do it at the stadium. Okay. So Joe always left later because George and the training staff, George Salvatore, George and the training staff would tape at the hotel. So they'd leave later. James leaves earlier. So Jack and I now travel with the team on the way in. But when Joe was there, because he left later, because they taped the players at the hotel, he'd leave later. We had to get transportation in, and I would drop my bag off. You try not to bring it up in the booth, So I usually like try to drop it off because the buses wouldn't be out there, right? And I drop it off in the locker room. So at Ohio State that day, I dropped it off in the locker room. And I remember thinking, Adam Talaferro, how bad is it? I mean, you could tell it was bad.
Yeah.
But again, we're up there, they're down there, and we didn't have a sideline reporter at that time or anything like that. So, okay, when I got down to the locker room and I saw Tom Benerino on the phone and Joe standing. As I was looking at the phone, Joe was standing to the right. And when I saw... No, you're calling me. Potential spam. Okay. That's how I have you labeled. When I went down to the locker room to get my bag, Tommy was on the phone, and Joe was standing to his right. And when I saw the two of them, I knew it was awful. That's when I knew it was awful. And I remember Joe was debating what to do. Do I stay at Ohio State and go to the medical center with Adam, or as the head coach, do I go back with the team? So what he did was he went back with the team and immediately got off the charter and went and got on the university plane and flew back right away. I don't even think he did not go to Lash Building. I mean, I think, and that's how they had it set up. So, okay, as the head coach, I brought my team back. My team needs me. And then as soon as he got off the plane, Adam needs me, flew right back. It's like, phew. But yeah, I mean, so when again, I did not see the brilliant work that Joe Buck did, but I have walked a mile in his shoes. How about that? Along with Jack Ham, and Troy Aikman was a part of what was going on too. So those are the worst ones.
Oh yeah.
I never want to see players get hurt.
No.
Never. And I don't want to hear about injuries leading into a game either. Oh, well, what do you think about this? Like, hey, you know what? I want to see your best. I want to see Penn State's best. Go play ball.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I'm not, I don't want people getting hurt.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, it's a fact of life. That's why when we talk about this particular Penn State football team, we bring up the depth of the team over and over again. They've done a brilliant job of putting numbers together, of quality numbers. I mean, everybody has a first, second, and third team. When we talk about depth, we're talking about quality of depth. And Penn State has a quality of depth and some young players that know how to play the game. Tony Rojas might be a starting linebacker for a lot of teams in the country. But here, he'll play, right? I mean, everybody knows he has a real chance to play here. He has a real chance to play, but he's not going to start. Who's he going to replace? Right? He's a good player. They'll figure that part out.
Yeah,
they have some players. But he's just an example of the quality depth you have. How fortunate you are to have a Benga Ioane, for example, that can play multiple positions on the offensive line. Well, guess what? He's a good football player. He's a good football player. And it's a plus to have a guy like that. Mm. It's a plus to have a guy like Nick Dawkins who's been able to get through the preseason the way he has. It's a plus to have a Drew Shelton. Okay? You're looking, it's a plus to have Khalil Dinkins as a, quote, third tight end? Really? Wow. Nice. Because, the Rapley kid down the road, Jerry Cross is, finally out there working, has been working the entire preseason, been great, and Jerry had in the spring. The Rapley kid is going to be a good player. Right? Now, this hour, this minute, no. Okay? But you can tell he's going to be good. Like, interesting. A guy like Joey Schlaffer, for example, right? Still needs more weight, but he's way better now than he was in the spring. But he's not going to play. But I'm just saying, this is the kind of depth they're recruiting. Jackson Smolik, the third quarterback. I'll tell you exactly what I said to Mike Yursich. Mike and I were standing in the tunnel one day at Beaver Stadium, and I said, "Hey, Mike," I said, "the Smolik kid." I said, I see why you recruited him. You can see why. Okay. I mean, they have that kind of depth. Elliott Washington and Tracy. Okay. Starting corners? No. Second team corners?
Yeah.
No. Going to be darn good? Yep. Hey, that's depth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here, Kyle doesn't do the show. We have depth concerns. What? Oh. That chair is always well occupied. This is the one over here that scares him. It's like, oh God, he's going to talk again. Oh, boy. But, yeah. TJ Watt got a sack last night. The other part, too, is I'm not going to sit here and talk about, to me, the Otani injury.
Mm.
All the discussion I've seen has been about money. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
What the hell's wrong with people?
Yep, they're ridiculous. Yeah, right? Absolutely.
It's a UCL for a guy that's already had Tommy John surgery once in 2018. Yeah. Right? He's a great player. I don't want to see a great player hurt.
No.
You don't get money from someplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
But every discussion has been about money.
Mm.
Money. Who cares? He'll get paid. Who cares? He's great for the game. He's not good for the game. He's great for the game.
Sure is. Yeah.
Sometimes I worry about the things we talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well. Yeah. Well, I hope you have a great weekend. You'll have a great game tonight.
Looking forward to it.
You will have a great game tonight. You're probably excited to get back in the saddle and do some high school football. It's great. State High plays at Williamsport tonight. But speaking of Williamsport, I saw the Czech Republic team and Team Australia visited Midler Field, Lebrano Park yesterday. Got the entire tour. And then those two teams were the two teams at the game in Williamsport last night.
Nice.
So, there you go. Curacao, by the way, in the international title game. Rob Thomas is going to be the public address announcer for it. He does the international one. I says, hey, good luck with all the names, Rob. There you go. Well, I guess it's time to wrap it up. The number of comments I have on your shirt. Yeah, I'm really glad about the 49ers that they put football on there. I was confused as to what they played. One of the two of us has actually been to the 49ers practice complex.
Not me.
I have. I actually have been because we stayed at the hotel right next to it.
Yep, I remember that.
I was like,
are you saying that?
I was like, oh, I think I'll go over and check this out. It was a building with a bunch of football fields.